Okay, guys, I want to welcome everybody to a new year. Happy New Year to everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another weekly episode of Conversations with Cougars. And my man I've got right here, you guys will recognize Coach LaBrian Stewart. Hey, Coach, Happy New Year to you, and it's so good to see you again.
Well, Happy New Year to you as well.
Well, we certainly are very happy and pleased that you can spend some time with us tonight. I know we all kind of need a break from what's been going on today in the nation's capital, but we're going to have some laughs and share some good memories and some thoughts. And before we get into that, for those of you who don't know, and I bet most of you do, Coach Stewart this past August or July was named the head coach at Abbeville right in the middle of the pandemic. With all the scrambling I'm sure that he had to do, came out with a 12-2 season for the 2A Abbeville football team and runner up in the state. And I want to congratulate Coach for being named here and for having such a successful year this year. I bet it was a fun year other than the final scoreboard on the championship game.
Yeah, it was fun. We're actually, very blessed to be able to start the season and then not only start it, have a chance to finish it and, with everyone being healthy and, it was just, with the way the state and even our school system handled a lot of things that we were just grateful just to even, have an opportunity to play football. So, and then to be blessed with with a chance to play for a state championship, that was, that's, another, just blessing, just being able to do that.
Well, hopefully this upcoming summer, when you guys get back at it, maybe we'll have a little bit of some normalcy. Maybe the vaccine will have made its way all over, and not that we'll be fully out of the woods, but hopefully we'll get back to some normalcy. But I think it's a real tribute to you, your school, your administrators, your coaches, and your team and families for being able to play a 14-game schedule when many schools either folded their programs, didn't play this year, or only played just a little bit. So I know you're glad that season is in the books and looking forward to the next one. But Coach, oh my gosh, you got all kind of love I got to share with you already. We got all kind of folks that say hello to Coach Stewart. We got Kevin Jackson says to tell you hello.
Oh, that's my guy. Yeah.
Damon Glasgow says congratulations, Coach. We got Anthony Spann, Tracy Donnell. We got a bunch of folks, some Cougar greats who've dropped in to spend some time with us tonight.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach, talk to us before we get into the Northview days. I want to talk a little bit about Abbeville, and I want you to brag a little bit on your program. I know that over the years where you've been either an assistant coach or head coach, offense has been your thing, and I know you guys put up some big numbers. So I want you to share a little bit about your program.
Yeah, actually, we had 10 seniors. We finished the season with 10 seniors. We had about, out of those 10 seniors, most of those kids, 7 of them were kids that have started for multiple years. And the program was left in good hands. We had a small coaching staff, used to, with bigger football that, you're having 20 and 21 coaches. And in this situation, we had 7 coaches, 5 of them were working in school and two guys were volunteers. And one was a former Cougar that, he was Stephon Davis was, co-defensive coordinator, did a great job, worked with defensive backs. With the group of guys, they, it was kind of, in a sense easy because when you have like a group of seniors that, some of them have been starting since the 8th grade and for them to come in and, with change, with a lot of, it was 3 weeks before the start of the season. And, it was, from day one, the guys, we decided what our team goal was we came up with 2 things. We wanted to eat Thanksgiving dinner together as a team. And the second goal, which was the main goal, was to win a state championship. And in order to win a state championship, you have to, play on Thanksgiving because that's the 4th round, and had the opportunity to go play for one. And we were just thankful. And like I say, everyone was healthy, and it had a great team. And with the seniors that are going out, they left, of course, the mark on the program, and with the help with administration, which has been great. Daryl Brooks, at one time he was at Northview, and he's our administrator and great principal. He cares a lot and actually still coaches. He coaches girls basketball, and you don't see that often. Especially, around here, you don't see where the principal's still coaching. And so that lets you know with the direction of, the program. And like I said, it was left in good hands, and it was, just a total, collective effort by the administration, the coaches, the players, great deal with our seniors, but, and like I say, it's, great community. They really stood behind the kids. And when you got a community that stands behind the kids, it doesn't matter who's the leader and where they're supporting those kids. And that was one of the things that I'm grateful for. So, all the awards and accolades and all that stuff in the postseason, whether it's coach of the year or player of the year, that's a total team effort. So it's not, it wasn't anything individual about it. So, when we are recognized for those awards, it's for everyone. It's not just, for the head coach or for, one of those kids that were, a star player. It was a total team effort. So, and which makes.
I know you're a very humble man, and it's okay right here for these couple of minutes for me to at least acknowledge what you have done, because it is your program. I know you've got lots of help, lots of coaches, lots of parents, and a lot of leaders on your team, but it takes a man at the top to run everything. So you should be commended. I know that deep down inside, you've got some pride that is showing out a little bit. So I won't belabor the point other than to say that I just think you did an awesome job this year. And I do want to take you back to two things, and then we'll get on to Northview, but this is good stuff. If you don't mind, I want you to tell us a little bit about that Thanksgiving meal. And the reason why I ask about it is I think the leaders and the coaches of any program, I don't care if it's a business or a sports team or in the classroom, it's those off the field moments. It's those human interactions. It's those one-on-one things that really leave an imprint. We all do. All of us who played high school and junior high sports or college sports, you remember more, at least I do, about off the field interactions than I do anything from on the field. So do you have some thoughts or some memories you may want to share that kind of showed you that this was really a special team?
Oh, absolutely. I would say one of the things that really stood out was one of our, we deal a lot with C&M Sport Goods, and one of the probably the kickers of the day for Thanksgiving was the first time we had these like sweet potato patty. I guess I don't know if you call them potluckers or whatever, but it was like this sweet potato patty wrapped in a crescent roll with brown cinnamon and butter. And Ed, his wife made them for us, and it was a large pan. And I think besides the turkey and stuff that the kids ate, but I think those whatever they, those sweet, they're like little custards. And I'll never get that taste because the first time having it, and then with the kids when they were able to taste them for the first time, I think he kind of started something. And that, and I want to say between that, the coaches and the players, it wasn't anything left over that, but just being able to practice, and then after practice, you have coaches' wives, or some of the mothers that came up, and even people from the Booster Club to come in and just help serve a meal. That alone was something just to remember, just to be able to sit down and even with the situation about the pandemic. One of the things that's special, we had a small team in numbers, but there were 6 sets of brothers. So, and that was one of the things that kind of helped, with so many people with interaction with, not even that, but a lot of relatives. So it was like a community thing. You would have several kids with same last name. So you couldn't go like the typical football team. And, most people call everyone by their last name, Stewart or Jones or Jackson. And then, so if you said that there, you have multiple kids turn around looking at you. And, so one of those things, even with for instance, like the Glenn, I think it was like 4 or 5 of them, and out of 4 or 5 of them, we had 3 of them that were starters, and in small school settings, that was like having 6 guys, because if they started on offense, they started on defense for us. So, and I think even the news at one time were calling them brothers, and I was like, no, they're not brothers, they're cousins, but there's just a lot of them. But those things, just a small, and with the community of, small community, but, big at heart, and, a lot of great athletes too.
Coach, I hope for next year's team, you got a bunch of those guys coming back, particularly the Glenn family.
Yeah, well, actually, we got, we lost, like I said, with those 10, it was like probably losing 30, but, we got a good bit of talent coming back. And that's the thing that, the mark that those older guys left on those younger guys. And, just seeing some of the, even, a lot of the traditions, it was, it makes it, it makes it fun. And then that was one of the things that, we always preach, love what you do and love, who you do it with. And, and that, for us, that goes a long way.
Oh, it sure does. Oh, Coach, you got a bunch of folks rolling in. I got to give you some shout outs. We got Anthony Spann, Jason Mullins, Coach Mike Henry, one of my teammates.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Stutz, Chandler Davis, John David Edwards. Oh, and one of your former Cougars and one of your current coaches, Stephon Davis. And that's what I want you to talk about. That was the other thing. I want you to brag a little bit about him a minute.
Man, look, it was about a week into my first week of football there, and then as a head coach, and trying to field the staff, and one of the things was looking for a defensive back coach, and especially even with Kevin Jackson working up there about 5 minutes away from the school, it would have been nice to have him, but somebody already had him locked up. So, but with Stephon, it was about 4 years. Actually, it was 5 years ago. He was a senior, and he didn't get a chance to finish the way that he wanted to finish, and was a very smart, tough player. And I always told him, like, look, man, you go to school, get your degree, and once you finish your degree, if I'm ever in a situation where I can hire you, I'm going to hire you as a coach, because the type of player he was, and he reminded me of that. And and it was a need. He was doing some training and working locally, and I needed a defensive backs coach, and Stephon came in, and he was great. Actually, he's a co-defensive coordinator. Just recently, he's the head baseball coach. Yeah, he's head varsity baseball coach, co-defense coordinator, coach defensive backs, and he was a big part of our success. And so like going back, and then there's another former Cougar that does. He's my special teams coordinator. Was Corey Whitehurst. He played defensive end. He signed a scholarship out of high school and ended up going to Alabama. And Whitehurst, he coaches basketball as well and teaches English. And he was already at Abbeville when I got. I was like, Whitehurst. I'm like, I know a Whitehurst. And Mr. Brooks like, yeah, you may know him. He went to Northview, and I was like, okay. So when I got a chance to reach out to him, which I called him, and I was like, Corey, look, I'm up here, and there's no way that you're gonna be at this school teaching and not coaching football, and you played for me. So there's no way. And it didn't take 2 days, and he was able to come aboard and was a big help, as far as working with defensive ends, and then as well as taking care of a lot of duties with special teams. And so a lot of those things, one thing I say for sure is we made a family atmosphere. These are 2 former players that came in, and they were very high character guys as players, and when they came, and they're doing the same thing as coaches, like it wouldn't surprise me. Corey Whitehurst one day is a superintendent or principal, and I could see Stephon being the head coach, and a football or athletic director or something, because it's certainly in him.
Well, Coach, I'm always amazed, but maybe I shouldn't be, about how many former players or coaches or students from Northview are now contributing as administrators, coaches, or on some capacity all through the Wiregrass. We got Gertman is at Eufaula. He's the president. He's the principal. Mike Henry's doing big things. Janansky Fleming. I could go on and on and on. But I know having those two guys with you made things just a little bit easier for you. But I wanted to share with you. Stefan says, "Go Cougars," and he says hashtag Hive Nation. And I want you to tell me, what does that mean to you, Hive Nation?
Listen, okay, before, I'll say like in recent years, you will see people put Hive Nation. I'm like, okay, that's the little, oh, that's cute. But, you know, if you really don't, you don't understand, like, like when they say it takes a village, when I say this town, we will have people coming from all over the place, just fighting to donate pregame meal. Like we didn't pay for a single pregame meal all year. Everything donated. There was people reaching out just to help. And it wasn't about LaBrian Stewart. It wasn't about, that. It was about, Abbeville High School, or where, and it was alumni, and you'd be amazed of the just amount of success that these people have had in, with their particular careers, and the willingness to give back. We had one of the largest donations. We had Josh Allen. He was number 7 overall draft pick. He didn't graduate from Abbeville, but he played there for 2 years. I want to say under Coach Shipman, and ended up going to Kentucky. Had a very successful career there, and signed with the like I said, got drafted number 7 overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and donated $480,000 to not to football, but to the athletic department. Help with some facilities on campus, and get some things going. And then you got Saran Neal that played there on that same day. I think they were even teammates, and they were were able to just you have people in this community just giving back. And it wasn't just former NFL guys, or but it's just Abbeville alumni. And then when they say hashtag Hive Nation, like it is that is, and that's exactly what it is. Like a lot of people say, it takes a hive, it takes or it takes a village, but we say it takes a hive, and and it's a sense of pride, and it's a good part of it.
Well, Coach, I wish you continued success with the program. And now we're going to shift gears on you a little bit, and we're going to talk about you taking over the Northview program for Coach Wayne White back in 2012, I believe.
Correct.
Talk about just before you took over the program, where had you been? What had you been doing from a coaching standpoint?
My first job out of college, I graduated from Tuskegee, playing football there, and first job out of college was Horseshoe Bend High School. I was driving from Montgomery, Alabama, all the way to New Site, Alabama, which was 75 miles one way, fresh out of college. And
how was that mileage?
Yeah. And so fresh out of college, and then ended up I did a year there, coached offensive line, and then I had the opportunity. My grandmother got sick, and I went back to help my grandfather with my grandmother, and I was able to go to my hometown of Tallahassee, and coach there. And then after my second year, I was going to go to Bullitt County to be the offensive coordinator, and the head coach resigned, and I was going in as an OC, and then interviewed just for the process, and went through and interviewed, and got the head coaching job at Bullitt County. Did 4 years there, and then after the 4 years of Bullitt County, I went to came to Northview under Chip Harris to be I was his offensive line coach. Coached some great guys there. Oh man, I had a great offensive line. That was we had a good season, and that was in 2007. And then from there, I ended up, Jamie Dubose got the head job at Prattville, and I was his offensive line coach, and from 2008 to 2012, and was blessed with the opportunity to come in and be the head coach at Northview February 1st, 2012. I remember first day on the job, official day on the job, and it was, it was great. As far as coming in and just, that was familiar with the program because I had worked there before, and just, it was, a lot of family there. Some buddies of mine like Greg Greenwood. He's the first person I met in Dope. Mr. and Mrs. Hatcher, Bobby Sermon, Coach Dawkins, Roy Dawkins, who's now he's an assistant principal at Dothan High, which it's still riding by. I still say Northview, but
Believe
you know,
we all do.
and he was my defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
We had worked together under Chip as well. That's how we met. And we're, for that year we were roommates, coming and just having the opportunity to be the head coach there, just blessed, being a 6A head coach and a program that, was full of tradition. I still tell people just, it was one of those, it was a great situation. I really learned, loved it, and I learned a lot. I really did learn a lot, and like I say, was blessed with the opportunity to be the head coach, athletic director, and just seeing a lot of the tradition that was already there, and being a part of it, and with a community. It's once again, Dothan it was hard to leave from here. Even part with Northfield, it was hard leaving here, and because Dothan's a great city. There's not a lot of violent crimes, and you got just a bunch of people that love to eat and a lot of places to eat, and then been great players. It's been some great players that come through here.
Before we go through your years, I want to ask you about who did you interview with before you accepted or we extended the job that you accepted? Who'd you interview with?
I interviewed with it was the current superintendent, former superintendent Tim Wilder. It was a committee of 13. It was like a committee of 13. It had some parents from the Booster Club, teachers, the current athletic director Jessica Noble, and then the principal Ron Snell, which was he did a great job of just providing the opportunity to be the head coach, and but like I say, Northview, it's something that just holds a special place in my heart. Just
I gotta ask, how long was that interview, and had you ever been in an interview with 13 people before?
I've never been in an interview with 13. So the first, it was 2 interviews. The first time it was 13. It was a committee of 13. And the second time, it was 3 or 4. And then on the second round of interviews. And then, but one of the special moments was being able to go to, I think they had the opportunity to go and meet the kids. And this was before, being named, head coach. They gave each candidate the opportunity to be able to go and, just, see the facility, see the school. I knew that, and, knew some of the kids, and coming in, I remember I was like a few minutes, late getting in there. And I remember telling the kids that, first thing I was like, look, I was a little late. I was, talking to the ring guy trying to design our next state championship ring. And, but it was
attention. I know that.
Yeah, absolutely. But,
Coach, I got to pause you for a second because we got a whole bunch of folks that are rolling in. Want to give you some shout outs and some love. We got Will Garner. We got John Reddick, who says, great job this year, Coach. Still very appreciative for all you did for Tyler when he tore his ACL. Keep up the great work in Abbeville. Cameron Smith, Chuck Jackson. Kevin Jackson says he remembers he was at Bryant High in Mobile at the time. Caleb Tillman calls you the GOAT.
That's my guy. But, seeing a lot of these guys that just, going beyond football. Like for me, it was bigger than football. And, we taught a lot of life lessons. And when you seeing the success these guys are having, that, like even with Tillman going to, Louisville, and then turn around being a coach. And, I constantly, stay in contact, and, if there's anything that I could do for them, any of those guys, we try to do that. And, but just, the love and support, just knowing that someone has your back. And, with a lot of these guys, just seeing what they're going through in life and being successful, lets you know that when you were a head coach, that you did something right. They may remember a pregame speech, or they may remember, something that you said, something that you did, and it, left a mark. And for me, that's the biggest payback that you can have as a football coach, or as a coach in general, of, just seeing some of those guys do some of the things that you, instilled in them. So, a bunch of great men now, because, they're not boys, they're not young men, they're men.
Yeah.
And see the success they're having, that's exciting.
Well, you inherited a team that went 3-7 the previous year, 2011, but you upped that to 5 wins the first season that you were there. So what I want to ask you, I want to go on the field a little bit. I want to talk about your offensive and defensive philosophies a little bit. What do you remember from that first season? You came in February. Did you have a spring training or a spring practices back then?
Yeah, we did. Like I say, coming in February was mid-year, and trying to put together the staff. There was a couple guys that I brought with me from Prattville. My offensive coordinator was Clayton Harris, who's now just recently named the head coach at Valiant Cross in Montgomery. He was at USA Academy, and it was in Casada, and it was a program that was going to kind of be similar to IMG. He had a Netflix series and everything. And then, things folded with COVID. And having Brad Lowe, which played quarterback for me at Tallahassee, he came in, he was a defensive coordinator. He did defensive backs at Prattville. And, that particular year we had won the 2011 state championship, and those guys, were able to come with us. And then one of the things I was able to grab, and I tease him, about this today, was Kevin LeSueur. He was a former head coach, had been at Prattville for years. He wanted to be a head coach, and, but long story short, I told him, and that I wasn't hiring him because he was a great defensive line coach or great mentor. I was hiring him because his wife was a counselor, and the job she did as a counselor to help getting kids eligible to sign those multiple scholarships at Prattville, that was, I was able to if I knew if I got him, I would get her. And that was probably one of the best things, but I always tease him about that. But, and then, those current guys that were, they're already here. I think, Joel Harvin, he was doing quarterbacks and wide receivers. And he eventually became, after the first year, my offensive coordinator, and now he's a head coach over at Early County, having a lot of success. And Riley Reynolds, that did defensive line for me as well, and Janaski Fleming, that we had a little side bet, and I told him, I said if I get this head coaching job, that if I'm fortunate enough to get this job, that you're going to come and coach with me. And he was, and it was also the head basketball coach, and always we got this running joke that Janaski Fleming makes the best Powerade than anybody. And I guess what he did was over the years, he just read the pack, and he did it the right way. He got this certain way he mixed it, and he really did. Sometimes he would mix flavors, and that thing would be, that was one of the highlights, was everybody rushing to get and see what Coach Fleming did with the Powerade. But with a lot of volunteers. And then one of my former players, Dr. Forrester, he played for me as offensive lineman, went to Faulkner, and he had the opportunity to come back, and he coached my offensive line. So, and honestly, DR is probably the only one that I've ever hired to coach offensive line, because other than that, everywhere I've been, I was either assistant coach or I coached the offensive line myself, and and he did a great job. We had some good guys. I think in that span we signed 72 kids to scholarships in a span of 5 years.
Wow.
That was one thing that always stood out. I think it was like in 2016 in the state of Alabama, we had six. We were six in the state of all programs with having kids on a Division I roster, and that was a testament to kids doing what they had to do in the classroom as well, weight room and field. And like I say, Northview, a lot of tradition, and there's a lot of great players, and I was dealing with some of those kids that fathers played on some of those state championship teams, and just being blessed.
Well, you came from a program just prior to Northview, Prattville, which has a rich tradition itself. A lot of winning years, some state titles, and many players who went on to the next level to play. But I want to ask you, what was the difference? Not just your job title, I know that, but what was the difference in the programs or your feelings about how you dealt with the program in Prattville versus the program when you got down to Dothan? I know at Dothan, you were now the head coach, so obviously that's different. But what kind of compare the two programs? If there may be similarities, I don't know.
There were a lot of similarities because, one of the things was as far as, like I said, with the community support, Prattville was one of those towns that if you wanted to rob a bank, do it at 7:00 on a Friday night during football season, because every police officer, every person in town was there, no matter who you played. And then, just having that feel, and then, you had, tons of players and or whatever, but it was something that was building that, like I said, and I would say it had some Dothan roots because of Bill Clark, that when he got Prattville to their winning ways, he had left Dothan High. He was a defensive coordinator there, and and had a lot of success there, and ended up being the head coach at Prattville and starting that powerhouse. And and then like I said, with Northview, you still you got that feel. They it was a program that it had won and were familiar with winning, and then even like with Abbeville, we had the hashtag of Hive Nation, and and Northview, it was School of Champions, and so that was a lifestyle. No matter what it was, just it was a lifestyle, and just seeing people being held to a high standard, and that's one of the things is the expectations was if you're going to be the head coach here, if you're going to be a player here, you're going to you want to be the best. You want to be the best in classroom. You want to be the best on the field, and that's why they say School of Champions. And so I don't care if that was a marble shooting contest or a spitting contest. You want to be able to win it, and and that was both places. But with the amount of I think my first year where we had Prattville on the roster, on the schedule, and we played them. They came to us, and then the next year we had to go to them, and just coming out, and they were fresh off a state championship team, and Chad Anderson was the head coach. Jamie Dubose, who I coached under, left and went to Florence as the head coach, and we had them, towards the end of the year, and it was a good game. Starting out at half, and just to see, and that let me know that our program is a program that was on the rise again, and we just we fell a little short with getting into the playoffs that first year, but having a 5-5 season, is something that you look at as some form of success, and but just being able to see those kids enjoy winning again, and that year, I probably one of the highlights was we signed 22 kids in scholarships that first year, so they did what they had to do their first year, and in season and as a head coach, in postseason, it's that's what you want to do. You want to see those guys that have opportunity to go, chase some of the dreams of playing, college football, and and you may have some that may go a little bit further than that, but just to be able to see them, to sign, and we had a couple of kids go Division I, and that first year I had a chance to coach Marquez White. That he was a special athlete. I was challenged to be a little bit more vocal. He'd be a kid that'd go in the weight room and do every rep. He just wouldn't say anything, or just go and in games. Now we came to the game, he didn't have any problem of asking for the football when he played wide receiver. And I knew he was a good wide receiver, and but I saw the defensive back end, and I would always tease him. Was like, look, you go over there and play defensive back, and you get a chance to play cornerback. You get a chance to come back over in offense. We'll throw you a ball here and there. He would always remind you, hey, coach, I'm open. Even when he wasn't open, he was open. But
like T.O., always open.
Always.
Well, Coach, I had Kez on the show a few months back, and he shared some great stories. I know that at least historically, Northview versus Prattville, they split 5 games each. So it was a pretty even set of games. We played them back in my day. I remember going up there for a game, and they came to Dothan for a game. But I know that was always very competitive between the two schools. And for those of you just dropping in, I've got Coach LaBrian Stewart, coach at Northview from 2012 to 2016. He's now at Abbeville and is a 2A Coach of the Year, 2A runner-up this past year. They were 12-2, and we're just talking some good memories back in the Northview days. But here's my question for you, LaBrian, and we've got a few more minutes left, and I appreciate your time tonight, is I want to know about parent interaction and trying to talk to the coaches that their son should be playing more, or that maybe your offense doesn't fit their child's abilities and those kind of things. And you're a seasoned coach, but how do you deal with it now? How did you deal with it back then? Was there a lot of that involvement, or did you have to have one of those conversations preseason that lets the parents know, this is my program. This isn't rec league. We're not going to be doing all this talking. Talk about that a
bit. Have always had a philosophy of having an open door policy, because if the parents don't allow you to work with their kids, you don't have a job. You gotta get players. One of the things was I don't refer to the kids as you're my son. Now I always felt like I want to treat your son like I want you to treat my son. And, but at the end of the day, I'm not your dad. I'm your coach. I'm always be coach. And, I could be a father figure, but I'm not dad. I'm not replacing dad. And I don't want dad to be coach. Dad's not coach. I'm paid to be the coach. But one of the things that, was, having an open door policy. If a parent comes in and asks, what's going on with this situation, that's why, your video practice, your video games, we grade film. There's documentation of what, because that's what I believe, competition breeds championships. So if they compete in practice, they're going to compete in the game. They compete in games, I think they compete in life. And it's a trickle down effect. But if, and at Northview, there was a time where you would have moms and dads sitting at practice on the back of the truck, on the track, outside the track, and watching practice, and everybody want to find out who's the starting quarterback, or who's the, who's the running back, or whatever it may be. And, here at Abbeville and at Northview, I didn't have much of that, of someone coming in and want to meet about why their son didn't start in quarterback. When those kids compete in the weight room and they compete, like I say, at practice, and they compete in the game, it's, and being fair, firm, and consistent, so I really can't say that I experienced much of, a parent coming in and complaining why their kid. Now, I might have had some asking why we don't throw to them as much. A good buddy of mine I always mess with him is Eric Easley, but, was a big time.
Big one of my teammates.
Oh, we had Kobe, and Kobe was a 3-star wide receiver for us. Had a great career, and I always tell Kobe, I said, man, look, we're gonna play both sides of the ball. I want you to be a safety and play wide receiver, and and then the way plays were called, sometimes the quarterback, blocking may break down, and we had to pull it and run it. I remember telling Eric, and he did it in a joking way. He wasn't serious. Like, hey, well, we gotta get baby boy some ball. And I would always tell him, I said, well, Coach Stewart's not throwing the ball. You need to go talk to Kalen Whitlow, and he's the one. And I can assure you, they spent so much time together. I said one time, Eric probably should have claimed, Kalen Whitlow is on his income tax, because I he was living. They would always be together, and they spend a lot of extra time, and that's why both of those kids had a great career, and still, and oddly enough, still playing football. And and that was one of the things, was just hard work and dedication. So I didn't have much of the problem of daddy ball or people hanging over the rails, because I did say in that parent meeting that during the game, I don't need the parents. Now we can hear them, especially you can hear every echo, every cell phone, and every comment. Right. But we always tell them, just don't turn around, because if you turn around, you got to go up there with them. And no one wanted to get embarrassed like that. And as a head coach, I didn't want to be embarrassed. I had to send your child up there in the stands to go sit with you, because during the game, you turn around and not focusing on the game. At that moment, let me be the coach, and as a parent, just support them, give them the practice, and take them to camps and do all that other stuff. And at the end of the day, you do your job, I do mine, and then we both want the same things. Want your child to be successful. If your child's successful, our program's successful.
That's a real tribute to the way you run your program. And I bet you're going to agree with me when I'm about to say, those kids on the roster, they know who should be playing.
Absolutely.
They know amongst themselves. They probably, to that extent, hopefully that trickles down to the families. But I know you already know the other thing I'm about to say. As long as Northview had a program going back to the late 70s, there were parents at those practices on that track. You had all those daddies and some mamas too sitting there. They bring their chair and they'd all sit together, and they just want to see what's going on. And I'm sure whether it was Coach Parrish or who you name the coach, I'm sure you guys did not enjoy most of those interactions, but hopefully it was kept to a minimum.
Listen, except for Rivalry, we would try to do closed practices, and then no one would ever lock the gate. Campus. You'll have parents that's riding around. We call it Cougar Lane. They would just ride back and forth down there, but still watching practice. And then I remember the next year we ended up putting up windscreen, putting up Cardinal windscreen on the fence line, so people can't ride on Westgate or ride on Cougar Lane. Watch us practice, but it wasn't like we were doing anything any different than everyone else. I always tell you, we didn't reinvent the wheel. We just found what worked for us, and offensively and defensively, and we just rolled with that.
Well, Coach, we're getting close toward the end of our conversation. I sure appreciate you sharing all these awesome memories and giving shout outs to so many of your former players and coaches. And I'm tickled for your success at Abbeville. But before we get you out of here, I want you to take us to one game or practice or some fun memories that you have during your time at Northview. There's got to be maybe a play or a funny kid or player or something. You're already giggling, so I know you got something that you can share with us from that time period.
Actually, I got a couple, but I can go on and on. One as an assistant, not just as a head, was we played Carver Montgomery and Spencer Pivers, which probably made every special team tackle, all year long, and ended up signing with Auburn. But I'll never forget, he catches the ball. He played linebacker, intercepts a pass, and as he's going in the end zone, all the coaches like, oh no, and he takes and he punched the ball. I promise it might have, and that's probably the most beautiful punt. He kicks it right over the fence into to the tennis courts. And of course, we got a 15-yard penalty. But that was probably because he was always challenging. Wayne, he was the defensive coordinator, and I would always watch Pipers doing drills, and he couldn't catch. He wasn't a wide receiver. He was a kid that he could basketball if he can hold the basketball. And but I'll never forget, he caught that interception and he punted that ball out of the stadium. That was one memory. Of course, a 15-yard penalty. I wouldn't condone it, but just under the circumstance,
Love to see video of that. I bet that was pretty funny.
And I think I got it on his highlight tape too. But and then another memory was I never forget, like, with putting on, I guess, all the years that I was a head coach there was every helmet, and kids that they'll recognize every helmet that we and with the decals of being. So that was kind of date night. I would trick my wife to come to the locker room and the week before the first game, and she would, she learned how to put on decals, and that was one of the things. But I miss those times of just being able to do that, leave the house, and we go in there and we do some dinner in the locker room and putting on decals, and then now game wise was breaking the streak. We had lost 5 straight to Dalton High, and that was my second year, and the kids it's just the way that they prepared off season. You could tell that the program was changing because the leadership, kids were holding each other accountable, even in the weight room, of being in dress code and wearing the correct school colors, and but going through it in that game, and that senior class, with that leadership, once again, and I tell them all the time, you can't tell if they're leaders if you don't give them the opportunity to lead. I don't just hover over them, but and seeing that group, like I say, the Rojas brothers, and Grant Palmer and Bryce Sadler, and just those, and the weight room, that's why I was able to get a new weight room, because I always brought the people in like, we ain't got enough weights, but not really realize you had several kids that were 400 or 500 pound squatters, 350, 400 pound benchers, and and it was multiple kids, and being able to come in there, and they, and it was a group of kids that sold out, and going into that game, and I would say dominating, because it was a game that they were, we were the bully, and we were a little bit more physical at that particular time, and then then those next couple of years, they were closer games, and a lot of things changed, but we were still 1 point here, 1 point there, and those are some good games. Looking up, and I always teased with Coach White, Kelvis White was looking up there, and when they started talking about splitting the gate. And then I was like, well, okay, well, you sell all your tickets and I sell all my tickets. So if I pack my side and you pack your side, and not really realizing that was great for the community. Not just, you're talking about packing rip pews, both sides. And, people say, well, how much money? I know what we cleared. We cleared about $22,000 on one side of the gate. And, so, every time you get a chance to come back and play at Rip Pews, was a beautiful stadium. The city does a great job of taking care of the field. And, but just, that atmosphere of being able to come in, and just, the echoes, and I think they cut the trees down now, but like seeing the shrubs up to keep people from sitting on the back of their trucks to watch the game. And, but that atmosphere was a year of breaking the streak, and just seeing seeing the alumni, being appreciative. And, but one of the things, even if you look, film from that game, we had this towering tent where we used to tailgate at the games, and you change the atmosphere. What we did was every game we would recognize someone special. And Kevin, that's why Kevin probably laughing about it, was he always talked about being recognized as a Northview Cougar. We recognized Isaiah Reese. We had recognized several people, even the janitor, Mr. Poole. His wife was there, and and remembrance of him. I remember, recognized one of the first people recognized Floyd Griffin, Tracy Cantaloupe, And but at that particular game, and I say gamesmanship, Kevin Jackson was a defensive coordinator at Dothan High. And so that game, when we played, I recognized Kevin Jackson. In the past, we would recognize the people before pregame to get everybody packed in there. So I knew they were going to be packed. I recognized them. I didn't call plays. Mr. Shaw didn't call plays, but Kevin Jackson did. So Kevin Jackson was either going to get mad, and we, Dothan Howard had to get mad because Kevin Jackson had to come and we recognized him at halftime. I gave him his plaque, recognized him. Mr. Two, he had this long bio and he read it off. So Kevin didn't have a chance to go in at halftime to make any halftime adjustment because he was on the field. And, that was one of the things. So that was the love that we had for Dothan High was coordinator, recognize him at halftime. So, and we broke the streak that year. So Kevin, he was still, like I said, he was a Cougar, and that night, and I don't think he, took it kindly, but that was one thing. So he got recognized, his mom and everybody, and it was at halftime at the game, and just so happened we broke the streak. So thank you, Kevin. And,
I don't know, Coach. He may or may not still be with us, but I hope he hears that story. But Coach, I hate that we got to wrap this up, but gosh, I really appreciate you sharing all those stories, and I thank you for your time as our coach at Northview at different times. So thank you for all that you've done, and much success with Abbeville going forward.
Oh, well, thank you so much, and thank you for having me. And like I said, once a Cougar, always a Cougar.
That's right. That's right. And guys, thank you again. So many other guys have rolled in here. LaBrian, I've added you to our Facebook group. So get in there. There's all kind of love. You can watch in the videos for not only your interview, but for many others. You'll recognize so many other Cougars in there. But guys, thank you again. Every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Central, we try to do this, Conversations with Cougars. Y'all be safe. Take care. And we'll see you again next week. Bye.
All right.